Hi, Katie Ginella. Welcome
Hi.
to A.Putnam's Women in Golf series.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, likewise. We've been interviewing some wonderful people, and I know we met a couple, geez, it's been, no, actually, not a couple months ago. It has been a couple months ago, actually, at the
I think so,
PGA
yeah.
show. It's been a blur since January, but we got to meet at the PGA show. You were hosting, you and your friend. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, Bailey Chamblay, we're hosting the runway show at the PGA, the big PGA show.
Yes. And actually, the models came in wearing your stuff when we were rehearsing. I said, where is that from? What is that?
Who is
It was
this?
striking. Yeah.
That's right. And even better, your daughter was in the runway show and got to sport some of it.
Yeah, she was wearing your brand. She loved it,
I know, it's so
and the whole
cool.
crowd loved it. It was amazing.
That was
Yeah.
so cool. It was funny because there was a lot of hooting and hollering when your daughter came out, and we were like, "Who is this girl? Like, what's going on?" And it was family and friends, right, rooting her on.
Yes, my husband brought all of his
Of
friends to come
course.
watch her walk. It was so cute.
That was amazing. That was so cool. And it's
Yeah.
such a fun way to kind of meet you. We didn't get to talk one on one, but then obviously we followed up because we made that connection that your daughter was in the runway and wearing some of our clothes. So, and from there, we finally got to meet at the Casa show, right? One of the local PGA merchandising shows just a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that was amazing. I was so happy you're going to be there.
I know. Likewise, it was fun to get out there. And I'm turning right back around to go out to the desert show here. Let's see, next week. So
Yeah, that's a big show. That's
it
fun.
is. It is. We're excited to be that one too. And it's been fun to dabble on the West Coast, which is where home is for you, right?
Yeah, I'm here in San Diego. It's so beautiful out today. I mean, they say every day is nice in San
Yeah.
Diego, but it's beautiful. Yeah. We've been here about 2 years now
And
and loving it out here.
that's wonderful. Yes, it's supposed to be a beautiful 75 all year round, right? Something like that.
You know, that is actually what is a misconception. I
Yeah.
thought. I thought
Hmm.
moving out here every day was like Groundhog Day, but they have seasons here. I had
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah, which is actually probably a nice mix. I know living in the
Yeah.
Midwest, that's something I would have a hard time parting with if I went anywhere super warm. But
Yeah.
so that's good. Well, listen, we've got some wonderful questions to go through, and it's been fun
Okay.
actually to do some repeat questions between, all the women that get to jump on this series. So we'll do some of those, and then I think we'll have some good conversation around just what you're up to and where you've been in the golf world. So without further ado, we'll get in and get to know Katie Janella. So,
Okay, I'm ready.
all right. So tell us how you got into golf. How old were you? And why do you love the sport?
Let's see. Well, I just was a fan growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I used to watch pretty much every golf tournament with my dad, and I grew up in Atlanta, so the Masters was always a big deal.
Yep.
And I mean, I was watching the Masters in 1992 when Fred Couples won, and he immediately became my favorite golfer.
Oh,
I thought
cool.
he was so amazing
A
and
good
so
personality
handsome. I
too.
thought, yeah, 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 so suave, and he always looked cool. And I thought he was great. And then growing up, I never really played. My dad wasn't a golfer,
Mm-hmm.
so we didn't play. We would just watch together. And then in high school, I started dating a boy, and he would caddy for his brother every summer. His brother was playing mini
Oh,
tours and then
gotcha.
got his PJ Tour card. So he
Yeah.
would caddy for his brother, and that's where I started to fall in love with golf. And that
Cool.
boyfriend we dated for 3 years, he played on his high school golf team, so I would go to his matches,
Yep.
and then got into journalism. And I started with college football, Fox Sports South,
Mm-hmm.
and quickly transitioned to golf because I'm just not a huge football fan. And
Mm-hmm.
I started to do some golf social media, and I was doing reporting for the NGA tour, which is a mini
Oh,
tour.
cool.
It was previously the Hooters tour and changed to
Uh-huh.
NGA. It's changed all these hands, and then was hired by Back Nine Network. And I don't know if you remember
Okay.
Back Nine, but
Yes,
oh, you do? Okay,
that's
so
neat. Yeah.
yeah. So I was their travel reporter. I would travel to
Okay.
different states and cover lifestyle, travel, college golf, and it was like a dream job. It was the best
Yeah,
job I
such
ever
a good
had.
gig.
Yeah,
I bet it
yeah,
was.
yeah. So that's how I kind of got started in the golf world and been here ever
Wonderful.
since.
And I know, and you have, and you're entrenched in it, obviously, both
Yeah.
um, you know, certainly your husband, Matt, and then just your career, it seems like from then too, I mean, it really has been positioned in golf, right? Like you have not
Always.
wavered too much at all. Um,
No.
which is good. It's such a I this is kind of a new industry for me and I absolutely love it. There's something so unique I can tell already just in the I think let's say year of getting into it that it's just so different and it's I think built on relationships and kind of that community that comes with it and it's so cool. So I can understand why you're here and why you've just stayed in golf.
Yeah, you definitely build a
So,
community. And my whole
yeah.
life is all thanks to golf. I met Matt through
Yeah.
golf and my kids
Yeah.
play golf. It's our way to connect. It's where we travel to, it's where we
Yeah.
vacation. So
Yeah.
our whole family all involved in
Yeah, and
golf.
it's a wonderful thing. I'm trying to trail in your shoes because of all of our boys trying to push them into golf and they naturally are loving it. But to your point, it's such a good way to go out with your family and spend that quality time. So, do actually one of the questions I got from Instagram was, do all four of your kids play?
You know, they do, they will.
Yeah.
And of all the four kids, so I have four kids. My daughter's 18 and my
Mm-hmm.
sons are 16, 13, and 5. And of
Yep.
all the kids, my daughter's probably the best golfer.
Oh,
They
nice.
all will play, and they all played hockey, so they have really good swings.
Oh,
But
yeah.
um, the most into it is our 5-year-old. He plays at
Oh,
least once a week
cool.
with my husband, and my daughter's
Oh
the
my
best
gosh.
one, but she just doesn't have an interest in pursuing it.
Yeah.
But we'll play
Right.
as a
Right.
family.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, last year, my son's name is Bandon, and so he
Hmm.
asked Santa for a trip to his dunes, he calls them. So we drove up to Oregon and stopped at colleges along the way to show my
Oh,
daughter, and we all played the short course together. So we
oh,
can all
cool.
do it together, but they kind of
Yeah.
choose not to. But they're all great
Right. And
golfers. Yeah.
well, that's wonderful. And sometimes that's all it counts is that just you can get out there together and enjoy it. Because I, for instance, I'm not a wonderful golfer, but I just love the sport and playing. And it was always either for work and kind of networking or my husband. I mean, he loves to golf. When I met him, that seems to be what we did, you know, on
Oh,
date nights and things like that. So now
yeah.
it just happens to be something we do with the boys now that they're old enough. So that's a cool way for you guys to connect, and especially with your big family.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Right. So, all right, let's think. So, if you could master any other sport, what would it be?
I feel like I would want to be really good at tennis. It
Uh
sounds like a
huh.
great idea. I'm pretty
Yeah.
terrible, and pickleball is so big now. I love pickleball.
Yeah.
So I would
Have
love
you
to
been
just be
playing?
better. I've played a couple of times and it's so
Yep.
much fun. I just wish I had more time to play.
Yes.
But I feel like it's another
Yep.
sport that any age can do, just like golf, and you could
Yep.
keep doing it with your children. So I would love to get better at
Yeah.
those two sports, or,
That's
that
that's
one.
good. I think right. I know Bailey kind of talked about that too, actually, is that it's just I think that new sport as well that kind of fits very well with golf and like you said, the no restriction on age, which is very helpful
For
as
sure.
we
For
get
sure.
older, not younger. I
Yeah.
know, not quite as accident prone.
Yeah, right.
Um, all right, so this is a fun one. Do you have any strange superstitions? Are you a superstitious person?
I don't feel like I'm superstitious, but
Mm-hmm.
I will say that if you're speaking something into existence, I feel like that holds a lot of weight. So
Yeah,
if you are
yeah.
constantly negative about yourself or negative about a
Mm-hmm.
situation, it's going to be negative. But if you speak
Yeah,
positively, if you speak good things into your life and into your existence,
yeah.
I feel like that always works out.
Yeah, I think that's a powerful thing. I am kind of the same way, and I always have in my head that to stay optimistic because it's just, if you know, staying positive is such a good mindset and
Yeah.
space to be in. Just so I couldn't agree more.
Especially these days, there's a lot going on with
I
our world
know.
and our country. And I feel like just being
Yeah,
positive, it's just an easier
I
way to
know.
live my life. Just,
It
you
is.
know,
It is. Right. And try to put that wall up against everything else that's forced into our lives thanks
right.
to social media and all that good stuff.
Definitely. Definitely.
I know. What about do you have a hidden talent?
Goodness. I don't think I have any hidden talents. I feel like all I love to do is cook and bake, and my husband says like that's what
Oh,
I'm best at. So maybe
okay.
I'll go with that.
Yeah.
I love cooking and
And
baking.
that's wonderful. So that sounds like maybe a hobby of yours outside of
Definitely.
work and golf, and that's great. So one of my
Definitely.
questions was going to be, what are you doing when you're not working or kind of golfing?
Definitely just cooking. I mean,
It
for a
sounds,
family our size, just cooking all the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
And that's it, just being with my family and cooking
Hmm.
and, stuff
Do
like
you
that.
have
That's all.
do you have any like go-to dinners that you just know everybody will eat and everybody loves?
There's this one account I found through TikTok, and her
Uh-huh.
name is Tegan, and it's Half Baked Harvest. And literally everything I make by
Oh.
her, my entire family eats. So I
Oh, I'll have
now,
to look that up.
yeah. So literally everything I make of hers is a hit. In fact, I made dinner for my in-laws last night, and I made it, and everyone was raving about it. She's incredible.
Ooh. What was it last night that you cooked?
It was it was this prosciutto creamy pasta,
Oh,
and
geez.
it took
Yeah.
forever to make. This one had a lot of
Uh-huh.
steps, but totally worth it. It was delicious.
Labor of love is what that is. I
For sure.
know.
For
And
sure.
it's even better when you can share with family. So I
Yeah.
understand that that's probably very fulfilling.
Yes.
That's cool. I'm jealous. I don't know. We both love to like my husband and I love to cook, but it's our lives are so busy. We get
Yeah,
in that rut of cooking the same thing, so we're always
I
trying to
know.
spice it up. But my kids are 10 to 3, so their palate, while some aren't too picky, some are, and it's
Well, I always want to order out or go out because I'm
yeah,
so busy.
yeah,
And my kids are like, oh
right.
no, please cook, mom. Please
Oh,
make
that's
something.
amazing.
But I get bored
I love
easy.
that.
So I try something new,
Sure.
every couple times
Yeah.
because I get so bored so easily. So
Oh, I love that. That's good. That's such a good hobby and brings people together.
yeah.
That's cool. What about have you been binge watching anything good recently?
So my husband and I love two series. We love F1, as I'm sure the rest of the
Oh,
country
yes.
does. And
Yep.
there's this, we heard about it from a friend, and I can't believe I fell in love with it, but it's called Top Class. And it's
Oh.
on Hulu, and it's about a high school basketball team here near
Oh,
LA.
cool.
It's amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
then my husband and I just recently went back and started from the first episode, Cheers, and it's so
Oh,
good.
stop. Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
that's
we're
funny.
watching
So bringing
Cheers
back
right
a
now.
classic.
Yes, it's so funny, and it feels almost like a soap opera because you don't
I
need to
bet.
watch them in order. You just know what's going
Oh,
on with
yeah.
every episode, so it's really good.
Right. Oh, that's good. And
Yeah.
lighthearted. I think that's kind of something
Yes.
that's hard to come by. I don't know if you ever watched, have you watched Ted Lasso at all?
Oh yes, love Ted Lasso. Love it.
So the new season is out, and I think the best part about that show is that it's just you can watch it. It makes you happy. It's such an
Yes.
easy watch. I know. So I can
Yes.
see you're probably getting the same thing out of something like Cheers.
Totally.
So I think, we've got some good, fun little questions there, but I would love to talk about a few things.
Okay.
So, one, getting into kind of your more recent career.
Okay.
So, and maybe a little bit of your past, but obviously you and Matt travel a lot, right? Like you've
Yes.
both had from your work experience, everything, you're documenting your travels and these wonderful places all over the world to golf and, those resorts and things like that. Do you have a favorite trip, like a favorite spot as it relates to golf?
So, okay, so I always tell people I have one that's domestic and one that's international.
Oh, good. Okay.
So my favorite domestic place to go is Sea Island Resort in Sea
Mm-hmm.
Island, Georgia. And first of all, I grew up in Georgia, so it's near and dear to my
I
heart.
wondered.
But
Yeah,
also
yeah.
it's the atmosphere, the amenities, the people that work there, the
Mm-hmm.
food, everything is amazing. That was one of the
Yeah.
first places Matt took me when we started dating, and I was
Oh,
ruined
cool.
from there on. I mean, it's
Oh,
literally
sounds
the
like it.
top. And so I joked
That's
like the
cool.
second or third time we were there, every resort is going to be one to Sea Island now. That's how I'm going to rate it.
Uh-huh.
It's
Oh, that's
beautiful, and it's
awesome.
beautiful. And then my favorite international destination
Mm-hmm.
is Adair Manor in Ireland. I don't know if you've heard of Adair
Ooh,
Manor. It's an
no.
old castle that they have turned into this
Mm-hmm.
insane resort. JP McManus bought it and turned it into this amazing
Cool.
resort. And my husband actually just played there this past summer in the JP McManus Pro-Am. And it's
Oh,
just,
neat.
they put us in a suite one time. It was the Lady Caroline suite, and it had been
Oh
her
my
room
gosh.
in something. I mean, this is I don't remember the exact date, but it was something like 1880,
Super.
and it
Yeah.
was just
Yeah.
an
So a lot of history.
incredible, yeah, it was an incredible place to
Oh,
stay.
cool. I'm gonna have to look those up because we're
Yeah.
doing, it's been actually a fun way to do this. So we've been featuring kind of our favorite travel spots and resorts. And so it's so fun to look these up because everybody's got a different one. There's so many great
Yes.
places, but everyone I've brought up from these conversations, I'm like, well, that's stunning and going on the list.
Heck yeah.
So thank you for sharing. That's so cool.
Well, Sea Island not only is good for a couple, but it's amazing for families. And
Yeah. Oh,
we always
neat.
have our kids. So, and when we were living in Orlando, it was an easy drive up. We would drive up for a weekend with the kids, and
Yeah.
Matt loves to play
Yeah.
golf there, and the spa is incredible. So, it's
Oh,
good for
good.
everyone.
Oh, something for everybody.
Yeah.
That sounds it. Oh my gosh, I love that. And it's
Yeah.
fun that you've got a favorite domestic and international,
Oh
but
yeah.
I can't imagine the places you've seen. And I was actually scrolling through Fire Pit
Oh
Collective and
good.
some of the blog and some of the places there. And there was, I think I stopped on somewhere in Hawaii that I think you guys had focused in on. I'll have to go back and see
Yeah,
where it
I
was
wonder
because it
which
looked
one. Yeah.
stunning.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
I'm sure.
I'll have to let you know because
Yeah,
it was
for sure.
gorgeous,
Yeah, let me
as all
know.
those places are. So tell me about Fire Pit Collective. I would love, I mean, because just looking on there, you're kind of, I mean, you're a piece of that business. And obviously, was it Matt that started it and with buddies, or like how did Fire Pit Collective come to fruition?
So
And what's your
Matt,
role?
oh, okay. So Matt was with Golf Channel
Yeah.
for so many
Yep.
number of years, and he was their travel expert. And his contract ended end of 2020, and
Yep.
he said, "I'm going to start this media company." And he had like a a vision at night, and he woke me up, and he was like, "I have this amazing idea." And so basically, he's still in the travel business. He also has a
Yeah.
podcast, and it was called the Fire Pit
Hmm.
Collective because they brought a collective of people together, all with a
Yeah.
different expertise. And he teamed up with Alan Shipnuck, who's an amazing writer, and
Hmm.
they have just created this media business that is amazing to me. So Matt will still
That's
travel to a
so cool.
destination. I explain him
Yeah.
to my friends that don't watch golf or play golf that
Yeah.
he's like Anthony Bourdain in golf. He'll go
I
to
That's
a
so funny. That's
Scotland,
probably so accurate.
right? He'll go to like Scotland and play the best golf, stay at the best places, eat the best food, do
Yeah.
the best activities, and then it becomes this travel show that is
Yeah.
incredible and so entertaining to watch. And
Oh, that's so cool.
he has this great podcast. He's about to release one on his favorite baseball player of all time, Tony Gwynn. So it's not just
Oh,
golf,
neat.
but it's primarily
Yeah.
golf. And I handle all of the merchandise for Matt's company. So
Got it.
I
And what's
will
that entail?
a lot of the creation and design, execution, and then I
Fun.
am shipping all of the packages out. So we,
Stop.
I am the merchandise center. So
Love,
it's
I love
wild.
it.
Black Friday, he was like, "Oh, we're gonna do a Black Friday sale." I was like, "Great." So there was like 125 boxes I was sending out, but we have an
Oh my
office with
gosh.
all of this merchandise, and I am not perfect at it. It
Oh my
takes me a lot,
gosh.
but I'm learning as I go to
Yeah.
be a merchandise
What
center.
an what an undertaking. And like you said, just the stuff you learn from that. And I mean, you've got a background in, let's say, merchandising and fashion and that retail side of things. So it sounds only natural, but
Yeah,
I can't imagine how much work that still is.
I
So
know it's a lot of work,
um,
but it's
to
great.
plug all that out.
It's great. Yeah.
It's so cool. And like, what a fun thing to work on together. And that's so neat that you guys have the ability to do that.
Yeah,
Very cool.
and I get to benefit a lot when he goes to these amazing
Yeah,
destinations.
you do.
I get to go
I
with him.
know.
So it's really fun for the whole family.
Yeah, that's a really, really cool channel to be on. And again, with both of your histories of reporting on travel is just perfect. That is so
Sure.
cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to tune in, especially to the podcast, and keep an eye on the on Fire Pit Collective. That is really cool. Do you think any of your kids will follow in your footsteps?
Goodness. I'm not sure. My daughter is in college right now for social work
Mm-hmm.
and graphic design.
That's right.
But
That's right.
yeah, but my son, he's 16. He's really interested in video editing and production.
Oh,
So kind of
cool.
works out perfectly. He can just,
That
intern for
that
my husband's
does.
company.
He easily could. Oh, that's
Yeah,
neat. That is kind of the same. And then your others are too young
are so
probably
young.
to,
But
yes,
I will say,
know
my
which way they're
son,
headed.
the other night in the car, my son goes, I'm going to be like mom when I grow up, and I'm going to make golf clothes, but I'm really going to be like dad, and I'm going to be a golf. He thinks Matt just plays golf all day to earn money. And I'm like, we wish, that'd be
I
amazing.
know. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, but he
Oh
thinks Matt
my
just
gosh.
plays golf
That
all
is
day.
too funny. Yeah, their perceptions are very amusing.
Yeah.
That's too cute. I love that. Now, what about because you've got your background in retail and you've worked with a few brands. I mean, we talked about this when we got to meet at the Casa show just a few weeks that,
Yeah.
you've worked with Foray
Uh-huh.
and with Hedge.
Yep.
And so, I mean, two wonderful women-owned kind of grown businesses. So, how did you get into that?
So I had been working with a couple of men's brands before that. And in
Mm-hmm.
2018, I started working with Foray. And Megan was an
Yeah.
amazing example of
Yeah.
hardworking women in golf. She had
Mm-hmm.
started the brand on her own, coming from a
Yeah.
Victoria's Secret, and is an incredible designer and
Oh,
businesswoman. So
yep.
that's how I started with women's brands and quickly learned
Got it.
that women-owned, women-run companies were kind of
Mm-hmm.
perfect and right up my alley to promote women in golf.
Yeah.
That means a lot to me,
Yeah.
especially having a
Yeah.
daughter and showing her that you can be a business owner and a wife and a mother and you can
Yeah.
make it all work. Of
100%.
course, with a lot of help
100%.
from family
Yeah,
and
it
friends,
does.
but you can make it all work. You don't just have to
Amen
be
to
one
that.
role. So it was really
Yeah.
cool. Megan was a great example of how to make that all work. And then I
That's
got to
so
work with a
neat.
couple of other women's brands. And
Mm-hmm.
I love helping these small brands have a presence in golf. A lot of
Yeah.
times I feel like these smaller women's brands get shadowed out by all of these bigger brands that are primarily for
Mm-hmm.
men, and then they just make women's stuff on the side
Sure.
just to
Sure.
fulfill
And
it.
dabble into women's.
Right.
Yeah.
But to promote these smaller women's brands that actually have women's fit and style in mind has been really
Yeah.
rewarding. I love doing it.
Yeah. And that's so neat. And um I could so appreciate hearing that too, because it's interesting and the challenge is still there, of course, in navigating the pro shop and when you talk to a buyer and they're um the weight of or the percentage, let's say, of men's sales to women's sales is still very skewed, and
Very
it
drastic.
obviously you're buying to meet that. And I hear a lot of the comments like, "Oh, my ladies say that we want more options," and then I bring stuff in and it's not the right stuff. And women
Right.
are hard. I mean, you just in your role at um, Grand Del Mar. I mean, you're that's a tough role to be in, and I think you probably have to have a knack for it, right? To know
Yes.
what to bring in and what's going to work. And memberships are something to cater to, and the type of women. It's much more complicated than the men's side,
It
is
is
what it sounds like.
extremely complicated. And when I
Yeah.
first got here, I asked a bunch of the women, what do you think about the selection here? What would you like to see?
Yeah.
What do you not like? And I got a lot of good feedback. And I introduced them to a couple
Mm-hmm.
of brands just through catalogs. And they were, we've never heard of this.
Yeah.
They're used to the Adidas and the
Yeah.
Nike and Peter
Right.
Millar, which is, they're all great brands.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, to
Yes.
bring in these smaller women's brands and tell these women we're
Mm-hmm.
supporting other women is what I love to
Yeah.
do. So I've brought in a
That's
couple of
fun.
brands and they've done really well. We've
Yeah.
had some trunk shows here. And it's really cool to bring these business owners in and they get to explain why they started their brand and what the fit is like.
Yeah.
That's really fun for
Yeah.
me. I love that.
It is cool. And I think that's something unique to this space, obviously, in golf, that I think it's a small enough community that, and these brands, I mean, like A.Putnam, like they're new. I mean, there's a lot of fresh blood and energy in these companies, and I think the founders are super excited to show up and talk to the customer. And um, women in golf is still a pretty small pocket in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
So, to your point, it's really fun to focus on them and grow the offerings and that community and relationships. So that's so cool
Right.
that you get to do that.
Well, I
I don't know
found that,
how
oh,
you
sorry.
find time. No, I was just gonna say, I don't know how you find time to do all that stuff.
I feel like it's a lot of coffee and it's a
Uh-huh.
lot of
Yep.
on the go. And I do
Yeah.
find that when I'm idle, I am so bored
Yeah.
and like itching to do
Right.
something.
Right.
So I have
Yep.
overloaded myself, I think. But there's just so many things that I want to do and so many opportunities. And the
Yeah.
Grand is great because I get to be here when my son is in school and also work on other things.
Yeah.
And they're super understanding. And
Yeah.
I've learned a lot. I've always been on the other side,
That's
like
cool.
the sales and brand
Right.
development and business development side, to now be on the
Mm-hmm.
buying side. It's actually so
Yeah.
good. I can kind of understand shipping and offering and production. So
Yes.
it's all kind of worked out. But yeah, they've been amazing to me here. I love it. I love working here.
Oh, that's so nice. That's a good mix. And the flexibility I think we all look for,
Definitely.
especially working moms and everything. The flexibility is huge. It kind of allows you to wear all those different hats, which is
Yeah.
what we all kind of need.
Yeah. And my
So
husband loves it
that's
because he gets
so,
to play golf here. So that's
oh yeah,
always a
that's a
plus.
perk.
It's like 2 miles from our
That is a
house.
perk.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. That's wonderful. I know I have to make my way up there next time I'm in the California area for a little bit longer. I would love to see
Yeah.
it.
I'd love
It
to
looks
have you out
beautiful.
here for a trunk show. That'd be
I
fun.
know. Twist my arm.
Yeah.
So what about from women's golf clothing? Do you have a favorite piece to wear? Is there like, are
Hmm.
you a, so, and this is maybe a favorite piece, or um, are you a skirt girl or dresses, or is there some trend that you typically go for?
I love dresses. For
Mm-hmm.
myself, I think they're really comfortable and they're cute, and I feel like you can wear them
Yeah.
off the course. A lot of brands say that
Mm-hmm.
you can wear this for the 19th hole, but
Yeah.
you kind of can't. And I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
dresses you can. Um,
Yeah.
and dresses do well here, whereas skirts I feel like don't do as well.
Yeah.
But San Diego can be a little chilly,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's why. I've been wearing a lot
Yep.
of pants because I'm freezing. But
I
I'm like freezing all the time. But
yeah.
cardigans have made a comeback, and I
Mhm.
feel like I am just
Yep.
always wearing a cardigan. Our
Yeah.
favorite place to go and play golf with the kids here is Goat Hill Park in Oceanside, and
Okay.
luckily at Goat
Mhm.
Hill, I have worn my A.Putnam t-shirts there. You can wear
Oh, have
t-shirts
you?
and shorts
Yay.
and yoga
That's
pants,
nice.
and
Yeah.
so to be a little
Yeah.
casual is nice. But
A little bit more casual.
yeah, but I will say that
Yeah.
cardigans are it for me. They're just every time a
Yeah.
brand has a cardigan, I'm like snatching that up.
Like
I want to wear
sold.
every cardigan. Yeah. Even
That's
Macklemore's
awesome.
brand, Bogey Boys, they are making
Yeah,
men's
yeah.
cardigans, and I have gotten like three of their cardigans, and
Have
I wear
you?
them. Yeah, they're amazing.
Oh, that's cool. And they're definitely unisex to some degree, especially with the styling. And I know there's a lot of that kind of retro throwback with the stripes and the kind of prep look is,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
very
love
in,
it.
and that's
Yeah.
fun. And the oversized too, right? Like you could
Yes.
go with a men's and be, yeah,
We're back
very
to the
stylish.
90s.
And
So I hear from my daughter.
we
Back to the
are.
90s.
Yes, yes. It was funny. I went to the John Mayer concert on Saturday, and yes, the amount of like baggy cargo
Oh,
pants that I
yes.
saw and the white sneakers, I was like, yep, well, that's it.
I know. Oh my gosh, it's back.
We're there in the crop tops. I know it was, yep. So it's funny how all that comes full circle, but
Totally.
there's definitely that. I think fun spot to be because there's a little bit of that preppy kind of prep 90s revival just to general fashion that
Definitely.
some of these the golf wear really fits perfectly in.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. And a lot of these brands are kind of edgy,
Yeah.
modern lifestyle brands that are coming up.
Yeah.
Malbon has been doing it for a while, but brands like
Oh my
Students
gosh.
Golf
Right?
and, there's a lot actually that have made golf cool again,
Yeah.
which is
100%.
great and more inclusive for
Yes.
younger people to come and feel okay wearing a golf brand
Yeah.
and not just a baggy polo.
Yeah.
So that's been great for the industry and great for
There,
fashion
a
and golf.
100%. I think there's so much going on there. It's neat. Um, I just had something come through from East Side Golf, and like they're like those guys,
Oh,
like same thing,
yes.
like such a cool edge to that styling, and it's fun what's going
Yeah. I
on.
love
I know
supporting
it's
them.
really neat to see what's going on in the
Yeah.
sport, and um, there's
It was started by a teacher
oh,
in
was it
Atlanta.
really?
It was a teacher and then a PJ Tour caddy named
Uh-huh.
Wayne and another guy, and they started it
Oh, cool.
together. And they do a lot of good in the golf industry for
Yep.
youth. So I love
Oh, that's
supporting
so good
them.
to
They're
hear.
great.
I think that's so neat too. There's so many brands out there, so it's amazing. I think everybody's got their own little niche and pocket and offering, and that's what even on the women's side, sorry, one second. Even on the women's side, the brands from going to the PGA show, there's, a few of us that have all just kept in touch, and while we're going after a similar customer, right? Like we're all just offering something a little different, and it's fun to share kind of what's going on. And I had Calliope Golf right across from me at the PGA show, and
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Cassie over there, super sweet. We've kind of got a lot of the same things going on, and I'm one step behind her in
Yeah.
terms of launching RepSpark and things like that. And
Oh,
yeah,
good.
she's just, I mean, it's fun when she's been so open to connecting. And it's kind of funny when I
Right.
showed up there and we were setting up our booth, she was like, "Oh, you've got kind of this polished, like classy edge." She's like, "I totally want to be the badass in golf and have leather, like, the faux leather skirts." And so it's fun. Like we're
Yeah.
just, could really benefit from being next to each other. So it's a lot of fun. It's such a cool thing.
Well, the thing that impressed me so much about your brand was that you showed up, and I thought you had been around for
Oh,
five,
you're
six
so sweet.
years. Your
Yeah.
collection was
Oh,
so well
thank
put together.
you.
Everything
Thanks.
was
Yeah,
pristine. I
that's
loved
so sweet.
everything.
Thank you. We've
Oh,
got kind
sorry.
of a cool, um, approach on it, and it's really making sure you've got these core, um, kind of lifestyle pieces that can flex in and out of golf with like whether
Definitely.
it's the fabric that helps that button up be performance driven, but look like and wear flawlessly and comfortable. So
Right.
it's such a fun process, and my ideas are so long, and it's very interesting, and you probably know too, just of taking all these ideas and refining them to make sure they stay within kind of your brand pillars and all that. So
Right.
hard work, but so fun, so fun. So yeah,
Definitely. That's always
it
the
is.
challenge. Just to stay within
Yep,
your brand
yep.
direction, but also to appeal to
I
the
know.
masses. That's
It
really
is.
tough.
It is. We were talking about that a few weeks ago, and it was. I have like a natural phobia to color and pattern. Like it's not. If you look at my, it's funny though because I'll look at my closet and I'll be like, "Oh man, I really wish I had like a pretty colored blouse to wear today," and it's like black, white, gray, like just
I
super.
know. But those are
I
comfort
know,
colors
I
for
know they
women.
are, and they're neutral and they go with everything, so it makes decisions like that, what you're gonna wear pretty easy. But um, okay,
Right.
so Katie, we're gonna get into a couple deeper questions. We were just talking about some of those that weren't quite as lighthearted, but um, what, who do you look up to the most? Do you have any role models?
Okay, I know this is going to sound so cheesy, but I really, my role model is really my husband. I mean,
Yeah,
he
cool.
has built such a career for himself. He's so hardworking. He's so selfless. And, I
Hmm.
get on him all the time about being too kind to people. And that
Oh,
sounds awful, but he is literally, he would give anything to everybody.
that's
And
cool.
I mean, he's just such a hardworking, kind, and has such integrity. My husband is,
Well,
that's the person I look up to.
that's a wonderful thing. Obviously, it makes you a better person too, which is like what we all want, to complement each other and make each other better. So that's
Yeah.
really cool. Well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, so how what is the most nervous you've ever been?
Okay. So in 2013, I was working as a travel reporter for Back Nine Network,
Yeah.
and they told me that I was going to have an interview with Fred Couples. He was
Oh,
opening a par three course at Southern Dunes in Arizona.
yeah.
And I was like, oh gosh, like from the moment they told me, I had anxiety, right? He's my
Oh my
favorite
gosh.
golfer.
Yeah.
So they told me I flew to Southern Dunes, made the trek from Tucson, and they gave me a list of questions they wanted answered in order. I couldn't deviate. If I wanted
Oh
to
my
ask a
gosh.
small follow up, I could. So I had to not only memorize these, but be prepared to meet my favorite golfer of all time,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And so right before the interview, I was in the restroom and I got sick. I was so nervous. I got sick. My
No.
producer came in and said, Katie, you got to get out there. Like, we're waiting for you. You have to come out. So, I mean, I was sweating bullets. I was so
Oh,
nervous. And it ended up being he was so cool and calm and made me feel really comfortable and answered all of my questions. And,
that's
you know,
amazing. Oh
yeah. So
gosh.
that was literally the most nervous I've ever been. It was
I
so
could
fun though.
see that. I feel like there'd be a lot of people in those shoes doing the same, like going through the same thing. I have to
Oh
ask, is
my
that the
gosh.
first and only time you've met him, or have you gotten to talk to him and see him beyond that
Um,
experience?
so I just saw him that one time, and then my husband has worked with him a couple of times.
Yeah,
My husband
yeah.
hosts the Wishbone Brawl at Goat Hill every Thanksgiving
Cool.
time, and it's
Yeah.
where four pros come and play at Goat Hill Park, all for
Yep.
charity. And this past year, it was Xander Schauffele, Jeff Ogilvy,
Mhm.
Dean Wilson, and Fred Couples. And
Oh,
so
that's
he
so
shows
cool.
up, and he's still so cool. He just has so
That's
much
wonderful.
suave. He's so cool.
Yep, so he stays at the top of your list. But
Yes,
what a good story,
definitely.
though. Oh my gosh. So you were totally human and your nerves got the best of you, but you got out
Yes.
there.
Yes, and I've got to tell you, he made me feel so at ease.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
cool.
oh man, I
That's
was so
cool.
nervous, but it ended up being
Oh,
really
I
good.
love that. Thanks for sharing that. Well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
What about what motivates you? You kind of talked about how keeping busy is like probably what keeps you going, right? And that's why you wear so many hats is just that
Yeah.
with idle time you lose your mind. So, well, yeah,
Yeah.
is there anything in particular that motivates you to pick all this up?
So I don't mean to get too deep, but
Mhm.
I was previously married and the kids and
Mhm.
I had a rough few years when I
Mhm.
was getting divorced. And so my children really motivate me to do better
Mhm.
and be better.
Yeah.
Just to, especially showing my daughter what kind of woman she can be and what a
Mhm.
strong woman can look like, especially when
Yeah.
you have no other options. You just to be strong and to be there for the people in your life. So I
Yeah.
think that that's what motivates me the most is just keeping going for all four of my kids
That's
and making better
wonderful.
lives for them. I
Yeah.
think that's what motivates me the most.
That's really neat. And I think what's cool about that is that you have them in your mind. And I think a lot of moms, you naturally think about like leading by example and how influential that is. And I think about that with my boys. And granted, I don't have a girl in the mix. I always wanted one, but now that I have five boys, I wouldn't change it for a thing. But I think they do. They're watching everything you're doing, so
Everything.
it's it's huge and it's really
Yeah.
impactful. Whether they can tell you that now or later, like it is. It's so. I think that I can relate to that. That's really cool.
Well, and I feel
What
like
about,
growing
yeah.
up, oh, sorry.
No, 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 go, go. Yeah, growing
Oh,
up.
I feel like growing up, I'm 38, even though I
Mm-hmm.
tell Bandon I'm 29. He tells his whole class that. I feel
That's
like
awesome.
growing up, yeah, he tells everyone I'm 29. It's great.
That's so cute.
I feel like we were just, we were raised to be there and be quiet
Mm-hmm.
and just keep your head down and do what you need to do and work hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Matt and I try to keep lines of communication really open
Yeah,
with the kids so that if they're in a bad situation, there's no judgment. They can call and
I
talk to
know.
us.
I
So
know.
I think that's also really important and really tough to do. But
Yeah,
that's the only talks I have with my mom friends here is how to keep
yeah.
open lines of communication so that we can stop the cycle, break the
Oh my
cycle of
goodness.
that.
I know. It's such a good point too. And you know that kind of what I always fear and we kind of talk about too with my mom friends is just what kids are exposed to nowadays looks so
Gosh,
different than what we were
yes,
exposed to. So having that communication open, it's just crucial to being like a lifeline and help, when they need it and know that they've got somebody to talk to. So that's yeah, so
definitely.
important. But it's hard. It's hard. We could probably spend another hour talking about parenting. So,
Whew, yeah, teenagers are not easy.
oh gosh, I'm not ready for that. My 10-year-old feels like he's going on 16 sometimes. So
Oh
I can't
man,
imagine. I know.
yes, my poor parents. I
Um,
feel bad.
you look back? My oldest is starting to ask me like, "Did you ever get in trouble? Did Grandma and Grandpa ever yell at you?" I'm like, "Oh, yes." I don't know that I want to tell you
Oh
why
yes,
yet,
yeah, I
but
know. I
One
feel
day
the
I will
same
tell
way.
you.
I
I
know when
know.
they're being difficult, I have to remind myself, you did
Mm.
this.
Oh
You
yeah.
did this once to your family. So
Yeah, it's
it's kind
kind
of
of like
normal
payback. Yeah, we all have
for
those moments, I'm sure.
sure.
All right, so what's next for you? Like, what's 2023 look like? Do you have any new projects, any travel you're looking forward to?
So, my dear friend
Hmm.
has a store called Land and Sea, and he currently has
Hmm.
three locations, two in
Uh-huh.
Hawaii, one in Carmel near Pebble Beach.
Okay.
And he used to be in sales with Link Soul. So the stores are primarily
Oh,
Link Soul,
sure.
but he
Yep.
just started his own brand called Amble, which
Hmm.
is like a lifestyle golf tennis wear
Cool.
company. And he is opening another store here in Del Mar that I'm helping him open.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, Matt and I have some family travel coming up, some
Hmm.
family lifestyle travel for Fire Pit Collective.
Cool.
And I've been talking with another brand,
Hmm.
can't give away the name, but I've been talking
Yeah.
with another brand that is primarily, it's a women's brand, but primarily
Hmm.
yoga, and they want to get into golf. So just kind of maybe
Cool.
helping them with that.
Oh,
And
nice.
so yeah, just a couple of things that are
Those
headed down the
could turn into,
line.
yeah, and it sounds like those could turn into some big things too. So that's
Yeah.
super exciting. I know obviously a lot of people kind of follow and keep, tabs on what you're doing, but at the same time, I don't think you make it very visible either that you have so much going on. So it's really fun to like take this time and get to know you, and I'm sure other people will appreciate just what all you're doing and how busy you are.
It's
The fact that you manage it, it's so fun. So
yeah,
fun.
it's pretty fun.
It's been such a pleasure talking to you, and I
Yeah,
know
thanks so much.
our paths will keep crossing. So thank you
Definitely.
so much.
Yeah, I have to have you out here. I would love for the
Yeah,
members to see
like
your
I said,
line. It's so
twist my
good.
arm. That'll be fun. I know, and I'm gonna tap into you too for some advice since you've been there and kind of done that quite a few times. So
Anytime.
I love
Yeah,
it.
anytime.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so
All
much.
right. Thanks, Katie.